we all know wrestling is great because it's in a live atmosphere. But we have seen over these past few years, I don't even know how to describe it because I don't want to kind of misconstrue this and make it sound like something other than what I'm saying, but it's kind of like the crowds believe now that they can take control of the product from the WWE creative team. Now, I'm not going to be here one to sit here and say that everything that WWE does is amazing and I have full confidence in the creative team. Hell, you can see from the Royal Rumble review that that's not true at all. But I'm the type of person, and maybe this is just me. I see what I see on the TV. I respond to it, and there may be some agreements, some disagreements in it, and a way that I would like them to go, but I've never been that type of guy where it's like my way or the highway. And I do believe that we're at a point right now where people are starting to develop that mindset, talking about the whole hijack Raw, and it seemed as if a revolt was beginning once again to try to propel Daniel Bryan into the main event of WrestleMania once again. So what are your thoughts on the fans and this new mindset that they have?
Well, look, they're supporting their guy, and I can appreciate that. And I think it's basically on the WWE to create a nice balance that, you know, the fans saw last year that they basically just booed Batista out of the building and, you know, were pissed off, and the WWE said, you know, let's just give them what they want. I think this year I'm all for WWE sticking to what they have now. I don't think Daniel Bryan should be inserted into this. I don't think that does a lot of good. The advantage you have with Batista was there wasn't a long-term plan in Batista. Batista could be a failed project and leave 2 months later, and you wouldn't bat an eye about the fact that they totally cut off all Batista's momentum. I think that doesn't necessarily exist here. So I think that you can combat the fans by basically just sticking to your guns, and if you find something for Daniel Bryan to do, if you find something for them to latch on to and for them to enjoy, you will get a situation where you may not create a perfect, you know, situation of how they react to Roman Reigns, but you may start to create more of a balance. And it seems as though there are a lot of new subscribers to the WWE Network, and so what you just have to focus on now is finding a way to get those people and get those people on Roman Reigns' side, and, you know, book his character well going into Mania, so the Mania people see him and hopefully will latch on and continue to subscribe to the network and follow the product, and you can kind of build up from there. But I definitely wouldn't cave to the fans again this year.
But what about the crowd, though? Because, like I said, they're at a point where they're fully ready, willing, and able to revolt. So it's going to be kind of difficult for WWE to tell whatever story it is that they want to with Roman Reigns when you have a bunch of these Daniel Bryan fans right there that's like, fuck this. I don't care what story you're telling. If it isn't my guy in that spot, then I don't care. It's kind of like sabotage.
You run you know the Brock Lesnar promos he always cuts before his matches, you know, the ones where he said, you know, you're going to leave Brock Lesnar or I'm going to leave John Cena in a,
just keep Roman Reigns out of the ring, then.
No, leave Roman Reigns in a puddle of piss, urine, vomit, and blood, and that whole deal in the studio. Do those for both guys. You know, have them do their individual sit-down interviews in the studio, which is good because you can record Roman Reigns'. But when you put Roman Reigns on TV, cut the crowd mic. It's not going to totally fix the problem, but fuck him. Cut the crowd mic.
Oh, God. You do realize that a lot of people are going to be going off on us right now because we're like kind of taking the crowd out of the experience. But my whole thing on this situation is you have to allow them to tell a story. If you're the type of person that you saw Roman Reigns win the Royal Rumble and you decided right then and there that this is not going to work, I don't give a damn what they do, what they say, how they push Roman Reigns, that this is not going to work with him main eventing WrestleMania, then WWE isn't in the wrong. You are. Because if you're so dead set on forcing Daniel Bryan into this story, then aren't you as bad as you proclaim them to be? Because you're trying to force Daniel Bryan on everyone. I want to pose this question to the PWF Empire Live hosting panel and also the fans who are watching right now. Go ahead and head over to pwfempire.com and click on this post. It's titled PWF Empire Live, The Road to WrestleMania. We have a poll up on the website asking one simple question. Do you see Daniel Bryan being added to the main event of WrestleMania 31? And I want to ask you guys that. And we have three different options there. We have yes, it should be a triple threat match. Yes, find some kind of way for Daniel Bryan to replace Roman Reigns in the match. Or the third option, which is no. So I'm going to pose that question to you guys. Under any circumstance, do you see Daniel Bryan being added to this match at WrestleMania?
No, I don't see it. I don't think they want to give the fans what they want again. I do think that would send a little bit of a negative message. You know, I'm for giving the fans what they want, but I'm not for like just letting the fans change everything you plan every single moment just because they feel like. You know, that's not necessarily what I think you should do. And adding him to this match, I think, kills all hope of Roman Reigns being anything. You know, at this point, you've committed to it, and you've got to do it, and you've got to find some way to make it work, whether it's got to be a heel turn, whether he's going to align with Paul Heyman, whether he can stay a face. That's what you need to figure out now, because the guy has long-term value to you. You're going to find a way to use him. There are things you can do, and you've just got to figure out what works you can use the guy. And you don't want to put yourself in a situation where he becomes unusable.
Yeah, I also do not see Daniel Bryan being put into this match either. I don't know why they would even do it at this point. I mean, again, you do have to ask yourself, well, what are they going to do with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 31, which is also a good question. But, you know, I know that's for probably a different time, but, you know, still, I'll say this much. I think that they're not going to bother putting him in this match this year, and it just isn't going to happen. Now, whether he'll go for the belt again sometime this year, I certainly think so. I just, you know, WrestleMania main event, just, no, that's not going to happen this year. I think they're just going to go Reigns and Lesnar, and I certainly hope it works out. Again, I am a wrestling fan through and through. I want things to go well. And I think that's where people get a big misconception. I actually do think that some people are that way in terms of them thinking, oh, yeah, you know, I fuck this, fuck that, you know, I hate everything. There are a lot of people who are out there who are like that. They will shit on anything, no matter what it is, unless it is exactly, and I mean exactly, what they would do if they were the bookers. Whereas I'm the type of fan who says, yeah, I might like to do it this way or that way. I wish it might be a little different. If I could control it, I would do this. But since I also can separate the fact that I don't control it, and then can say, well, you know, what I was given was at least solid, then I'm going to praise the product and say it was good. I mean, that's what we are as fans. If we are given something that's enjoyable, we can't just crap on it because it isn't exactly what we want. If they can make Reigns and Lesnar work, I will give them all the credit in the world.
You see this shirt here? Daniel Bryan's face and the words, yes. Well, pretty much ignore that, because my answer to this question is no. Matter of fact, hell no. Can't happen, shouldn't happen, don't want it to happen, because last year was Daniel Bryan's year. I felt as if there was no way conceivable that WWE could deny him the main event of WrestleMania. And the fact that at one point they actually planned to go with Randy Orton versus Batista, it boggles my mind. But luckily, everything worked out from a storyline perspective, and Daniel Bryan, he got his place, he got his titles. That's all good. But 2015, it's not Daniel Bryan's year. Plain and simple. You may like Daniel Bryan, you may think he deserves to be in that spot, but that it ain't his spot. It's not. And there's no other way that I could possibly say that. There was nothing storyline-wise that was pushing Daniel Bryan, forcing him to be in the main event of WrestleMania, and it would seriously suck very hard if somehow, some way he got into that match. Like WWE, you made the match Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Now you got to make it work. But the problem with that is WWE's definition of making it work is a little different than everyone else's, as we could clearly see at the Royal Rumble, because their definition of making it work is you go into the doctor with, you know, a sprained wrist, and they chop off your arm at the fucking elbow. Like, your wrist, yeah, it stopped hurting because you don't have one anymore. So, yeah, it's all about handling this with precision and care, and the ball is in your court.
And at this point, adding Bryan to the match just creates a lesser story for Bryan and Lesnar, because you kind of killed that whole build-up with him not winning the Rumble. And then what are you going to do with Reigns? At this point, if Reigns isn't going to work, it's not going to work because it's not going to work. It's not going to work because you stop trying.